There's an old saying, nobody loves me, everybody hates me. Guess I'll go eat worms. Don't ever do that.
Hey, I'm Robert McGinley, director, writer, actor, Shredder Orpheus, and I'm on the air with Corey and Zach, and we are going to have a great time, so stay tuned here for $2 late fee and podcast After Dark. This is going to be a really cool show. I hope you enjoy it, and rock on.
Hey, so it's me, Zach, and Corey back together. Well, normally we do like a crossover in September, but this is 2026. The world is a wacky place.
Let's have some fun.
Let's just do some things to lose ourselves. And we're going to lose ourselves with Robert today. We talk about Shredder Orpheus. We talk about Debbie Danger, his new movie.
We talk about society and life itself at this point.
Yeah, this is, if you're expecting just a fluff conversation, we get deep, y'all. If you like Joseph Campbell, if you like Greek mythology, if you want the world to be a better place, then enjoy this interview with Robert McGinley and us.
Have fun.
Welcome to our exclusive interview series for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Tonight's interview is with the writer, director, and star of Shredder Orpheus, Robert McGinley.
Forget his Orpheus. Everybody liked him in the zone. He had a band called the Shredders, and we would go see him at the Thrash Bin Club. We would always find a way to rock like rabid dogs.
I'm just trying to find Eurydice.
The contestant may leave the euthanasia network with his bride if he can do it without looking back at her.
After the disaster at the wedding, Orpheus became kind of famous in the zone. He didn't give a shit, and we hardly ever saw him.
Got the deck. I've got a chance. I've got to take it. I don't have a life unless I get her back.
If you want to join the pantheon of dead skate rock guitar heroes, that's your choice.
All right, so I'm going to get right into this. Our guest today is Robert McGinley. He's a writer, director, actor, skater. I think a lot of other accolades we can probably get into as we move along. But right before we jumped on with Corey and I here, hey, everybody, Robert said $2 late fee. Now, that's a cool name or something to that respect, right, Robert? Is that what you said?
I said, wow, how did you come up with that?
Well, Corey and I both used to work at video stores back in the day.
Yeah,
of course.
it's in our blood.
And so my other co-host Dustin and I were like, what's a good name for an 80s and 90s nostalgic podcast? And I'm like, how about $2 late fee? Done. And then Podcasting After Dark, which is the other show that we're a part of, Corey and I. Corey's like, we need a name that like reflects all the movies you would watch at night, or maybe the movies you weren't allowed to watch as a kid. And then he came up with Podcasting After Dark. So
yeah, we're kind of the same coin, but two sides of it: the dark side and the light side. We can discuss on which side Shredder Orpheus will fall, though.
Well, yeah, we should definitely delve into that because we're dealing with both the dark side and hopefully a lighter side as well. So
I just got to ask you, because brought up $2 late fee. Was there a particular video store back in the day that you used to frequent?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a Santa Monican, I was addicted to Video It's.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which is now in Eagle Rock,
I know. I still have their t-shirt. I mean, I love that place, but sadly they decided to go up for them greener pastures. I'm not sure how Eagle Rock equates to that, because I thought that place was a real community place.
Totally.
So, but you guys are connected to video stores, right? I mean, you guys are kind of in that realm. What stores, or how did that come about?
Well, my store was called Video Man. Corey, yours was Big Wolf, right?
Big Wolf, yeah, outside of DC. And
Okay.
I worked there for a good solid like 10 years or so. And it was one of the video stores where, you know, we made all of our money with the adult section in the back, but we still had VHSs and stuff in the front. But yeah, for a young 19-year-old lad, it was a good time. It was a fun time to work there.
Amazing. Okay.
At least on the west side for you, Robert, we still have Cinephile off of Santa Monica Boulevard. So
That place is amazing too, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, thank God for that. And you know, they do screenings there. So I'm thinking, oh, it would be cool to get a screening of Shredder Orpheus or perhaps one of your newer films at Cinephile and do a little Q&A perhaps.
Well, I'd love to be able to do that.
All
I
right.
would love that. That would be great.
Much to come in the future. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, but before we get into Shredder Orpheus, we might have a friend in common. Our pal David Irons wrote the novelization for the movie.
Yes, he was amazing. You guys know David.
He's a good friend of ours.
He's a good friend of ours. He's been on the show a lot, and he told us about it like when it was happening. And we're like, "Holy crap, that's awesome!" And it's also interesting that we're now living in this time where like these older cult films like Shredder Orpheus are getting modern novelizations that they never had in the past.
Well, I think he did an extraordinary job. I mean, he definitely went above and beyond the Call of Duty. I mean, he would send me emails in the middle of the night asking me different questions like, what was the thought behind, and I can't think of a specific example,
Yeah.
but well, it might be what are some of the backstory details about the Jimi Hendrix Lyrax guitar? How did that evolve into something that you decided to use? And so there were little things, little details like that, or just any number of details that whether it was different character ideas or whatever. I thought David did an amazing job on Shredder Orpheus, the novelization.
Yeah, and that's available now. You guys can, go out and grab that. But let's dive into this movie because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Zach and I both recently, watched it and everything. I don't remember if I saw it as a kid, but that being said, I don't think I would have appreciated it as a kid like I do now. And I'm sitting here last night watching this movie, and I'm like, this is so freaking cool. What was the inception behind it?
Well, that's a great question because I can answer it from several different angles. I mean, there was I'll start with a personal. At the time, I was a complete skateboard junkie, and I was also a mythology student, and I was really interested in those things. I was also a rock critic for one of the Seattle magazines. Well, there was a thing called the Rocket, and I was
Rad.
yeah. So I had kind of this two-track thing of being kind of a athletic but crazy person on a skateboard, and we had a crew of guys that would sneak into downtown Seattle buildings, at 11 or 12 at night, and we would take the elevators up to the top floors of the parking lot, and we would go to maybe 10 floors up or however high up it was, get on the top floor of these office building parking lots, and then just scream down and just was a riotous adrenaline experience. And
Wow.
and then at the time, I think I was really immersed in the Cocteau Orpheus films, and I was basically in the pantheon of Greek mythology heroes. I was fascinated by the fact that Orpheus was the only mortal to go to the world of the dead and basically, escape and come back and have this other life after his attempt to rescue his wife. So I just thought, well, if we're doing the skateboard, what if the underworld was at the bottom of the skateboard ramps that I mean, what would that be like if you go to hell on a skateboard? I mean, I just
Yeah.
asked myself that question. And so, as far as your question about Inception, I think that's probably the best answer I could pull together.
And I think all of that obviously comes through in the movie, but what was one of the things I was most impressed with, besides like your interpretation of the underworld and how it fit into this world you created, which I loved, and we'll talk about in a second, but how you see other movies and other pieces of fiction and content that says it's inspired by Greek mythology, but I felt like you and I have a probably much more limited knowledge than you do, but it felt much more true to the Greek mythology source material than a lot of other stuff that I've seen. And I think that's what really impressed me the most. I felt like you took it all the way. Like you actually took it all the way, especially with how Orpheus meets his end and everything. It felt, even if I'm not as versed in it, it felt very true to Greek mythology of what I understand and know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for that. I mean, basically, uh, what I understood from being uh, immersed in it was that there's this very raw experience that we have in life, which is it's not going to last forever,
Yeah.
right? And and the and Joseph Campbell, who, if you guys have ever heard of him, he's probably one of my mentors. Of you know, you're familiar, and same with George Lucas, and a lot of filmmakers have all said they owe a debt to Joseph Campbell. But one of the things he said, and I don't think I've ever told this to anybody, so this is fresh.
Oh, cool.
But one of the things that he said is that the cold reality, I'm paraphrasing, but the coldest reality of life is that everything that you love and that you hold dear will be taken away from you at some point.
Yep.
And so what's the antidote to that? Well, is love stronger than death? And that's something that I just instinctively wanted to explore. And so we have Orpheus, without blowing it for people who haven't seen it, but we have Orpheus in an afterlife, that is a little bit of a construct. But like you mentioned, the head being thrown into the river, the lyre into the stars, all that stuff happened. The gods felt very bad about Orpheus's fate, so they wanted to memorialize him in certain ways. And so the lyre of Orpheus is a constellation in the stars that is there, and the whole thing was a little bit fetishistic on the part of the skateboard crew with the head and stuff and the skull.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's kind of a interesting aspect of that, because when you are 16 years old and you're full of adrenaline, you don't necessarily, well, testosterone, adrenaline, and whatever other chemicals are circulating in a 16-year-old male body. There's a lot of stuff going on, right?
For sure.
As we know, because we all went through that rite of passage. And so Axel, Stephen Jesse Bernstein's character, says, someday maybe these guys are going to understand what this is all about. And I really liked your first comment, which was you didn't appreciate what was going on when you first saw the film until now, and so I think that's really how a lot of people arrive at it,
Well, I
So,
think there's this idea, as a kid, I've got a 11-year-old son, and I'm constantly telling him these may be things that you're not necessarily interested in now, but when you get older, you might get more interested in it. I remember as a young kid, 16, 17 years old, and my stepdad showing me Bill Moyer's conversations with Joseph
Joseph
Campbell.
Campbell? Yeah.
Right. And the Power of the Myth, right? And I read Hero of a Thousand Faces, when I was like 19 or 20. Started picking it up and like not really interested at that point. But then maybe in my mid 20s, I really got into it
Yeah.
and really got obsessed
Mhm.
with the hero's journey. And I mean, my tagline is follow your bliss. That's what I kind of words to live by.
Mhm.
And I've told Corey and I have had many a discussion about this. And I ran a side note, I ran a Greek mythology summer camp a few years ago during the pandemic
Oh, amazing.
for 5 weeks, where we went on, each week was a different quest or a different journey. We didn't do Orpheus. I would have liked to. That would have been pretty rad. See little, 7-year-old kids carrying a severed head around. But but we did get pretty darn close on it. And
Okay.
we with actors and we enacted, all sorts of different Greek myths and whatnot. Anyways, when Corey says like maybe you hadn't seen that as a kid, but you appreciate it now, I that's the beautiful thing about media and companies like Vinegar Syndrome or I think the offshoots like Fun City and I forget this one is like AGFA or the
Oh,
distributor.
right. The distributor is the American Genre Film Archive.
Right,
The
right.
original distributor was AIP.
Oh,
Dave,
really?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, but it's beautiful that these companies exist now to put out a pristine version of your film
Yeah, the
for
restoration came out really well.
amazing. And so a new audience can see this that's our age, maybe a little bit younger, hopefully, because
Yeah,
you've got so many components that are appealing to a wide audience. But we will put links in our show notes so people can actually order it.
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we're big. We're both collectors of physical media. So after I watched it yesterday, it's on my to purchase list. I just gotta sneak it by my wife real quick. But I,
There you go.
have my growing collection of Blu-rays. But going back to the movie. Well, first thought was with the skull at the end, kind of remind me how in Catholicism, like we'll keep, churches will keep saint skulls and stuff like that. It kind of was reminiscent of that. But what really intrigued me by the movie was your portrayal of Hades and how it was almost like this barren wall corporate hellscape, but not unattractive, like not hellish as we think of the word hell,
Right.
and it almost reminds me of nowadays there are these things called the back rooms. They're on YouTube and stuff, but it's almost like it's like corporate rooms that are just go on forever and everything. And it almost feels like, you had that concept, 30 years ago, of that. But how did the concept of that come about? I imagine it has to do something with like, okay, here's what we have access to, but you turned it into something truly unique and special, like the room where Orpheus's parents are shredding
Right.
people's like souls and their memories in a physical shredder. I was like, oh, this is like something like an abstract concept that you've put into reality that I can understand. And it's just like, I mean, just genius, like how you did that. But how did all of that come about in your portrayal of Hades and everything?
Well, I thought that the inspiration, I think, was just being in a lot of corporate spaces. One of my early jobs, before I really got deep into filmmaking, was doing a lot of corporate videos. And
Okay.
I thought they were hellscapes. They were these
They
Where
are.
artists go to die.
right. And that's actually quite true because a buddy of mine who I went to college with, a very creative writer, ended up in sales and marketing at this one company that I actually had a corporate sales and marketing video gig with. And it was just the buzz of those fluorescents was just so oppressive.
Right.
And the cubicle rat trapped, it was just almost painful. When I get done shooting, I actually love being in the factory part of it with the machines and the assembly ladies more, because the offices themselves were this sterile and soul-sucking environment that I really had trouble thinking in, you know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so if there was a inspiration for Shredder and putting it in that context of a very dry sort of corporate place, you know, you have those hallways, you've got the shredding room, you've got the EBN stage, all that stuff was really inspired by my work in corporate video.
I can see it. As someone who, yeah, as an artist who has done brief stints in corporate America, oh boy, it sucks the life out of you for sure. And you wind up looking pale like all the people in hell.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty
100%.
accurate.
You end up turning white. And
Yeah.
that was such a fun scene to do, that Shredder scene. And I wasn't sure it was going to work, but I thought, you know, there's a very analog portrayal metaphor of it. And I really appreciate the fact that you kind of connected with that, because, um, you know, basically what my raison d'etre from Shredder, Orpheus through the other films that I'm work on is what I call the waterboarding of consciousness, of
Mm.
how we are being told what to think. And even before the latest iteration of new media, which is so pervasive and destructive right now, or at least it can be really tough on kids. And with an 11-year-old, you know, you're going to have your hands, you know, I mean, already,
Unfortunately full. Yeah.
yeah, you're trying to make decisions about how much should you have and how much, you know, because the main thing that I find terrifying right now is the isolation that people are in, these social media bubbles. And uh, I think we've obviously have congressional hearings about with Mr. Zuckerberg, who in my mind is a modern day euthanasia broadcast network guy. I mean,
Totally.
he is he is my analog of what Hades was in the film. So
Right.
I basically think that you look at um, where evil resides, and evil always comes with a, you know, a smile on its face and saying, "Oh no, we're really helping people. We're
Right.
really helping," you know. Well, the problem is when you have something that's addictive by nature, you know, and it's so we have a literal scene, a very literal scene in the junkyard where a guy's watching the sign off, where back in the old days we had you know, the national anthem and the American flag wave, and the guy, you know, that's lives in the junkyard there gets sucked right into the TV. Well, in some ways, we're doing that. Persephone's speech about giving yourself to the ray. That's basically what we're doing, is we're giving ourselves up to this technology. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't seem to care that we're also giving away our ID, our identification, our privacy. And so this has been sort of a constant theme for me. And, you know, I just, you know, have come up with, you know, the phrase, you know, it's the waterboarding of consciousness. It's basically you're drowning in media. And at what point are you able to extract yourself and be able to think for yourself and be able to ground yourself you know, in a way where you have some connectivity to most importantly to your peers and to people around you.
Right.
I mean, that's again, watching it yesterday, you could have told me that this was filmed today. The only thing keeping it in, 1990 is the fact that the TV goes off, at midnight with the broadcast ending. But other than that, like the fact that you have the lower income people living in shipping containers, I mean, they're always trying to sell us shipping containers as a viable living source to today. And I'm like,
Right.
I mean, how did you see this coming 30 years ago?
Well, how did the Greeks see this coming?
Yeah.
Well, it's Corey, right? I'm
Yeah.
Corey. It was luck. I mean, basically, a lot of the really cool part about Seattle, in my mind, was always the shipyards
Hmm.
and always the shipping containers, and then it was just um, uh, during that time, the homeless situation was really really tough. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Seattle is the origins of the original Skid Row is comes from Seattle.
Oh, didn't
Uh,
know that.
yeah, Yesler Way. Skid Row originally meant that they were skidding lumber trees from forestry down this road called Yesler Way, and it was also referred to as Skid Row.
Wow.
And then when the and then when the forestry industry started to dry up, people started getting skidding. That
Wow.
so yeah, that's there in Pioneer Square. So anyway, that place is very close to the shipping containers that were there. And I said, well, what's going to happen here is that at some point people are going to start living in these things. They're going to be low income housing units, right? That's what happened, and it was just a total fluke. So I mean, I'm just was really lucky, that I saw that. I mean, and I mean, I didn't realize that 10 years later it would be happening in, all kinds of manifestations of different cities are using them for housing in one way or another. Or, they've been also deployed, as classrooms as well.
Right. Right.
Yeah, portables, yeah.
Well, it's oftentimes we talk about how, film is an escape for us to forget about what all the craziness in the world. And sometimes it is a complete reflection of what's going on and a wake up call. And it is kind of crazy that a movie 37 years ago came out and
That long ago? Oh my God.
essentially, yeah, we'll say 10. But that you can watch this now, like you said, Corey, you can watch this now and you go, yeah, this is very prophetic, and there's a lot going on here that should be studied, and hopefully, future generations will become a little bit more awake. Because right now we're sleeping. I do want to segue a little bit into the music of your film, though, on a upbeat note, because the music is fantastic. It's very much of its time, but also, some might say, well, it's modern now because there's a lot of synth.
Everything comes back.
Everything comes back. Everything's cyclical, right?
Well, I wanted to ask you guys, doesn't it seem like you know, generation I, it seems to me that 20 and 30-year-olds that I know and that are of my daughter's age, their favorite music is basically 60s through 90s.
Yeah.
They love that time period.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that your experience as well?
Yeah, I have my wife and I have a couple younger friends because she works at Trader Joe's. So, she works with people of different ages, and we have some younger friends. And I mean, they're listening to 80s music, they're watching 80s movies. They always want recommendation 80s and 90s, 80s and 90s. And I'm like, what's kind of music's out now? And they're like, I don't know. I'm listening to 80s synth wave or whatever and everything. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe we peaked in the 90s, as a society.
Well, I think there's really good bands out there, but the I think the saturation, there's just so much, and it's hard to find, things that resonate the way they do. I mean, I was just going on this complete nostalgia trip. I mean, one of the bands that inspired the music for Shredder Orpheus would have to have been Joy Division.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Because we were trying to come up with, what would be, we know what surf rock was,
Right.
and all the several guitar heroes that were involved with. But I said, well, what would it be to take a look at what skate rock would be? And only reason I'm mentioning that is that Peter Hook and several, there's been several new incarnations of Joy Division music out there, and I was I'm just addicted to it. I mean, I'm a YouTube person. I like listening to music and watching bands on YouTube, and that's kind of where a lot of my music consumption comes from these days. But again, going back to uh, 1988, 1989, the years that we're formulating, um, my producer was her boyfriend was a member of a band called Ministry.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've seen him
I used to,
live.
I used to listen to the hell out of Ministry back in the day.
I saw
Yeah,
Ministry with
okay,
Slayer.
Corey, okay.
Yeah.
I saw Ministry with Slayer and another band back in the day. But
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Oh
I
my
never
God.
got to see him though.
I mean, those guys were
Jorgensen, right? Jorgensen?
Al Jorgensen, yeah, and Bill Rieflin and the brothers. Uh, oh my God, Um my mind just slipped on that
It's
banana
okay,
peel.
but that's badass that you
Yeah,
referenced Joy Division and Ministry.
yeah. Well, exactly. I mean that was so lucky to be able to get those guys. And Roland Barker was the main composer, and he was the keyboard artist. He was only peripherally involved in Ministry. He also played saxophone for him as well. But I was so lucky to have him as my composer. And basically, he just laid down the tracks on a keyboard, and then he brought in Bill Rieflin from Ministry, and who sang on the Worm song,
Yeah.
and uh, he and then we had a couple of other amazing Seattle musicians that rounded out the out, out the out the band called the Shredders, and so I mean, so it was the same guys that were playing behind me were also in the studio recording the music. So that was sort of a fun thing. It wasn't like those guys were all, involved in putting that music together. And, you know, I think uh, what's fun about that record, um, there is a vinyl LP. I think maybe you guys probably know that already.
No, but tell us more
Oh, okay. Well,
because I want it now.
okay.
Yeah, you're a big
Yes,
vinyl collector.
yeah, no, I mean, there's um a vinyl LP that we put together. I think, I don't know, we did this like archaeology exploration of theaters and stuff that I worked in, and we found the 2-inch masters of those sessions.
Wow.
And from those sessions, I found the original producer, and we had to take these 2-inch reels and bake them, because if you just played them, we had to get it into the uh, the digitization. We had to digitize them, and I
Right.
can't remember the name of the piece of gear that you use. You guys probably recognize it if I can remember it. But anyway, we had these 2-inch reels, and we just were really excited about how that would turn out. And then what we did is we remastered everything. And so like the track at the very end, it's called Ramp Out, for example.
Yeah.
It features a really amazing percussion progression from Bill Rieflin, and and the rest of the band is really great. Soaring guitars, the whole thing. And anyway, we were really fortunate to come up with this vinyl LP. And if you just go to the website boomcult.com, which is my production company's, that we also have sort of a retail thing there where
Okay.
we have it. And if you have any trouble, just get hold of me because I want you to have it.
I'll walk down the street to your place. Kidding.
Yeah, actually you could, because stored in the garage, we can save money on shipping and
There you go. Well, we'll talk offline because I don't want anybody getting the wrong idea. But and I'll also put links in our show notes too, so people can order anything and can check out your website too. That's badass because Corey and I both, like, I feel like we share our minds together are one brain. We very much have like a yin and yang sometimes.
You're the musical side. I'm much more the visual side.
Yeah, but Corey and I were talking before we watched Shredder Orpheus, and having you on, we were talking about Repo Man not that long ago, and we were saying how I said this movie would pair really nicely with certain selective films from this era, where you
like
step outside of your
Suburbia,
mind.
Repo Man, like something like Punk Kid, it's Repo Man, Suburbia, even newer ones like Six String Samurai. It all feels like they're in, like, Shredder Orpheus should be on the shelf with like all of those type of films and everything.
Yeah, well, and trust me, Repo Man was something that was very inspiring. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's clearly apparent there. But what I love, and just circling back to the music, because I love your use of music in there because it's so integral to the story. It's not just tracks for a music video, which was very prevalent of its time.
And
Right.
excuse my ignorance. Zach will understand. Again, I'm not the biggest music guy. The guitar that Orpheus plays, the Jimi Hendrix, is that real? Was that a real thing, or did you come up with that?
Whoa, what is it?
The Gibsonian Lear Axe guitar, designed by Mr. Jimi Hendrix. No, yes. Right before Jimmy died, so the story goes, he got together with this guy, Mr. Paisley Pattern. Their objective was to create the ultimate power chord machine that would alter and elevate human consciousness.
I saw this little article in Rolling Stone. I think it was in the mid 70s, and it was several years after Hendrix had passed away, but it was about some of his ideas about making music that had a transformative aspect to it. And so there was that little kernel of information that I heard that I thought was really pertinent to, that the kind of acts that Orpheus needed to penetrate the euthanasia broadcast network would have to be something really colossal and special.
Well, and also the design of it. Did you design the look of that? And I say that because, going back to Joseph Campbell and just imagery and just even the visual language of movies and television and media, anytime I think of Greek mythology, I think of like women playing harps and stuff like that. And so this guitar doesn't have a neck to it. So just even visually, it seems out of place. Visually, it seems like already it looks like it's coming from a different time without having that neck to it. Was that on purpose, or is that just a happy happenstance?
Well, I just talked to Randy Erickson, the production designer, and I said, we need to develop something that is like a lyre, but it has an electronic aspect to it. So there is a MIDI component which integrates a rhythm section that goes along with it, as well as an amplification system. And all of this was really a collaboration between myself and the production designer.
Okay.
It's really
It's awesome. It's so cool.
I mean, yeah, we were borrowing from images of, nymphs and playing lyres in the Glen, I mean, that's basically where we were.
And it comes through someone, even a layman like me, who, the closest thing to Greek mythology I know is Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff like that. Like, it still comes through, and I understand what you're conveying through it.
Mhm. Well, that's excellent, man. Well, that's really great to hear. I think it's one of those things that's starting to get a little more traction. We've had good luck with an audience. It sort of found its audience in the last 10 years. And I'm just really grateful because it's nice to have something that you were, well, for me, this was, instead of going to film school, I decided to do this. This was my film school. And I'm just very gratifying that, some of the rawest, most original stuff where I still had one foot in the theater, one foot on a skateboard, and I was spending so much time with corporate video and doing videography for um, dancers and musicians and performance artists. And the genesis of all the cast really was just people that I'd worked with in theater. And so um, you know, it was kind of a confluence of different things. And so, when we start with the music elements and this is just all stuff that I was interested in that kind of was able to happily collide and be combined. I'll just back up a second. There was a certain freedom of that I was able to experience, and I haven't really experienced it too many times since, where as an artist, I was able to sort of draw from different areas and different interests in my life, and they all seem to fit one way or another. And I mean, I even eat shredded wheat, so
That's hilarious. Was Devi Danger, is that a companion piece to Shredder Orpheus?
very much so. I mean, it's kind of like the big sister.
No one said that defying death was going to be easy.
Our practice uses human employees who are dedicating a portion of their consciousness to enhance the intuitive skills of our clients.
Stanley Arkoff, CEO of Neurotic Systems.
The chip requires a biochemical environment in the nervous system that's genetically compatible.
Are you looking for work?
The key is the intuitive component that allows you to make coherent reads on any situation and the people that you're interacting with.
You need an offspring.
Ow!
Take a good look. I think she has the right chemistry.
We need to get her started. Yesterday.
Why do you need me?
You have an extraordinary gift. You can stop the world.
How do you respond to accusations that you're running an electronic sweatshop?
Employing disenfranchised Americans who have little hope and few opportunities is something we are most proud of.
Mommy! Anybody home?
10201.
This thing they put in me.
The most important commodity that all humans desire, time.
Right now, Devi Danger is out on it's streaming on Tubi and it's going to be out on Google Plus. It's also available on Amazon Prime, and yeah, it's very much dealing with a more modern take on nefarious corporate hanky panky. Let's put it that way.
I love that you can make a fictional quote unquote film and get it out on social streaming services where those streaming services are like, but we're actually the villain.
We are the corporate villains. But you
Right.
gotta lay with the devil, I imagine.
100%. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be the first. I don't think Devi Danger is going to qualify for an acquisition for Paramount Plus, given the new merger situation there. But who knows? I mean, because basically, Devi Danger is about a singer whose voice becomes a weapon to save her child, and she is dealing with corporate malfeasance again. And uh, uh, we're looking at several things that have a relationship to what we were talking about with Shredder, but it's just in um, using a female protagonist instead of a guitar as this instrument of transformation or a weapon. We're having a woman's voice become, weaponized in such a way that she is able to use it to protect herself and her child.
I love that.
And it's nice. Yeah, it's awesome because it's so many people nowadays, friends, family, you see all the horrors that are happening and you're like, what can I do? Like, what can I do besides vote, but like you've actually found an outlet for taking, which I perceive as your grievances with things that are happening and actually turning them into art forms and hopefully cautionary tales, except we've sort of seen that every cautionary tale seems to be a roadmap, for the bad guys for some reason. But but it's still necessary. It's still absolutely necessary to have a voice, an artistic voice out there, basically saying like, this is wrong. Like this is wrong, and you need to be aware of this. So thank you for that, by the way.
Well, yeah, and thanks for seeing it that way because yeah, I would say that I'm really hopeful that we are able to go through the current turmoil and come out the other end with a new sense of what it means to be human. That's really important to me.
Yeah.
And you know, now to, get a little serioso. I mean, what does it mean to be human when, we're attached to these things?
Right.
We're all kind of been cyberized here. And so that's why you have to have a little check. And if in whatever way I can with Debbie Danger and Jimmy Zip, for whatever way I can, shed some light on, what it means to have our humanity and kindness put forth in a strength. Now, I'm not talking Pollyanna now. I'm talking about really what is the essence of being human and what does it mean when our daily interactions, what can we do to make things more pleasant or easier for people, and if we can be inspired by art to take action in a thoughtful way, that's really important. Because the other thing that's going on, guys, is language is being co-opted.
Right.
We're so used to being lied to that people are numb to the process, and so we have to keep going back to what is true and what do we know to be true. And the Orwellian concept of don't believe what your eyes are telling you, we've got to get past that. We really have to take that on and understand what the current manifestation of evil is, because that's what's going on. I mean, and I hope that I can contribute some ideas that help strengthen us, and I think aspirationally for an artist, I mean, what more could you ask for? Is if you are able to, and Joseph Campbell turned to bring back that boon and say, here's something that's tangible that you should be able to reconfigure your operating system in such a way that you are able to make things a little bit lighter for the people around you.
Well, I think you're doing that. And, you
That
know,
is important.
here we are on this Zoom screen technology,
Again.
you know, again, there are obviously benefits to it because we're able to convey this message to a wide audience and
100%.
and put your films, and by the way, links to Robert's work are in the show notes, so you can check them out, order them, watch them, et cetera, because that's the only way this world's gonna be a better place, is if we spread that message and we continue the message from a movie that came out almost 40 years ago to a movie that came out a year or so
10,
ago.
10 years ago, Zach. It was only 10 years.
Sorry, 10 years.
1990 was only 10 years ago.
Right?
And pick up a copy and let people borrow it. Like, don't just like hoard things. Like, you know, Zach and I both have a bunch of movies that like aren't on streaming, and it's kind of hard to find Shredder Orpheus on streaming. And one of my main, you know, wants to purchase it is to let my friends borrow it and be like, check this movie out. You need to see this. This has an important message to it. And that goes for, you know, other movies as well. Let people borrow them. Like become your own personal video store for your friends, you know? I do appreciate the film. I really, really do. And again, I don't think I would have at the time in 1990. I was 12 years old in 1990. It wouldn't have hit. I wouldn't have understood it. I mean, hell, even like 15 years ago, I wouldn't have appreciated some movies, some books, some TV shows, some people come into your life at the moment that you can appreciate them and at the moment that you sort of need them. And I think we need Shredder Orpheus at this point.
Yeah.
Wow, I love hearing that. Well, thank you.
And on that note, no, I'm kidding. So no,
go pick up a copy of Shredder Orpheus.
Yeah, and also any potential that Devi Danger will wind up on physical media?
Well, if you are interested, again, boomcult.com, we do have vinyl as packaged with a DVD.
Sweet.
So it's possible. And then there's a Blu-ray that is that's out right now. And I think you mentioned Vinegar Syndrome at one
Right,
time?
yeah.
Yeah, they have it. There's a company called Enjoy the Ride.
Yeah, they're a great record company.
Yeah, well, they have Devi Danger, and so you can get a Blu-ray if you want to go that route, or if you want to go to Boom Cult and get the soundtrack vinyl LP packaged with a DVD. That's the other way.
Awesome. And then, of course, if you want to order the book, the adaptation of Shredder Orpheus by our good friend David Irons. Shout out to our buddy over in the UK.
Amazing. What a world.
What a small world.
It's a trip. I did want to mention really quickly, there was another film that Corey and I both thoroughly enjoyed that we felt shares the same universe. It's called Remote Control. It's directed by Jeff Lieberman. Came out in 1988, I believe, Corey.
Yeah, it has vibes. Yeah.
It has vibes, you know, and there's elements of like what technology can do can kill you sort of thing.
And you know, as the kids say, you know, it's a vibe. Shredder Orpheus, the film,
it's a vibe.
Definitely a vibe. Can I just ask, Robert, how much did you do guerrilla filmmaking for? Like, what would you say the percentage of that was?
Oh, all the exteriors were stolen.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
That's rock and roll right there. That's punk rock.
That's
punk rock.
a vibe, baby.
Oh,
that's a
yeah,
vibe.
I mean, you know, we had a lot of adventures and well, I guess maybe misadventures. I mean, if you guys recall the scene where the Furies, it's the Eurydice door show game,
Yeah.
and Hades and Persephone are presiding. Like Persephone's got sort of this Vanna White thing, you know, it's door number, you know, behind the door is either Eurydice or your death. And so you get to choose which one. And so as we were doing the scene and doing takes, the DP at the time had a lot of equipment, and he really loved his fog machines. And There were these big bazooka things, like they looked like guns or something. And so he wanted to make sure that the Fury's entrance, when the sliding doors ramped up, that there was plenty of smoke. And so we did a couple of takes, and then he started yelling at the crew, more smoke. We need more smoke. And it was also almost like a SNL Christopher Walken moment. We need more cowbell. It's just like that. He was screaming. We were at take 16, and he goes, "For God's sake, can't you get this right? Can we get some fucking smoke? I mean, I need this." Okay. Well, what we didn't know, this was about after 16 takes, we suddenly hear sirens off in the distance.
Oh, no.
And we are in the basement. We're in this area below an abandoned train station.
Oh, no.
With no permit, right? And we're suddenly, well, what we didn't know is that the smoke was going up through the building, out the windows of this like 7-story building, and the smoke was just pouring out of the windows.
God.
So we had every hook and ladder, every major engine. I mean, they were all screaming down the alleyway to us, and I mean, and the crew was just panicked. Oh my God, what have we done? And the chief of fire, the Seattle fire chief, he gets out of the lead truck, he comes up, and my first AD walks over to him very shyly, and he goes, and the guy goes, "All right, who is responsible for this?" And he points to me.
Of course.
And I'm huddled up in a ball. I'm naked with just the loincloth on.
Yeah.
And it was quite a moment.
Yeah.
That was sort of a defining moment of my life. And they're going, him. They're pointing at him. His name is Robert. And so he comes trudging over to me, and he's all geared up and says, "What the hell are you doing? Where's your permit?" And I go, "Permit? Did we guys, did we need a permit? Did we forget the permit? Oh my God." So like a lot of you may have heard this story before. It's an old saw, but it's definitely true, is that it's better to beg for forgiveness than to add, because we never would have got permission.
No.
Never.
And every now and then, sometimes there will be that kind soul that will see through that and be like, okay.
It's funny though, because I did go to film school, and we were doing a night shoot in film school up in Towson, Maryland, outside of Baltimore, and we had to use a smoke machine, and we were like in an alley, and we let the local fire department know. We just called them like earlier that day just to let them know when we would be there. I mean, we're with the school, and yeah, sure, whatever. Thanks for letting us know. But that's Towson, not Seattle.
Not Seattle.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it depends on, I mean, we just knew that I think the problem was we would have to figure out who actually owned the building. And if we had to go to the city, then the city, as a government agency, the city is always going to be paranoid. I mean, so it was always just the parking garages, just like we stole when we were just doing it for fun. We would, just skate until we got kicked out by security guards. And that's exactly when we did that Devo, a garage named Devo. That's exactly the same thing.
I love that too.
Now you just have cameras. You just have cameras with you.
Now, the one place that we had semi permission was in the container village in the shipyard. I just used to go there and hang out, and I met one of the guys, the forklift operator, so we could fly in the Oracle. And I said, and I just said, you're working the night shift on X night. And he says, yeah. Well, listen, here's $100. Do you mind just dropping this in? And by the way, there's going to be a person in there. It's going to be an actor. And he says, oh, no problem. And
I love
but
it.
but did he tell the office? Hell no.
Oh, hell no.
No, that he pockets that $100 because then the office is going to want 50 of it. No, you got to pocket that. And that's why I say Shredder Orpheus is a vibe. You can pick. That's what makes that movie so cool. I love guerrilla filmmaking. That is so freaking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just, being able to be on that. But I will also say I don't think that I would be able to do something like that today, because today, well, at least in Seattle, where we were back in the day, it was much easier. It was a much more innocent time, and you
Yeah.
could get away with certain things. Now, as you guys know, and have been in film school, you probably know that you've got to really be careful with unions. We were just kids out there. Well, hey, let's make a movie. We didn't know anything.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just said, well, we're going to film this, and we're going to, and I luckily I had some practice. We made a short of Shredder Orpheus first, so we had a little practice, and so we kind of knew what we were up to, and so that's the gist of how that production went. I mean, there's a lot of other guerrilla stuff that went on. I mean, one time our costume designer got pulled over for expired license tags.
Oh, God.
And we have, 20 and we got 20 or 30 kids on skateboards jacked up on sugar. And where we waited till, I think we were supposed to start shooting at 9 p.m. and we didn't get any shots off because I remember this very distinctly. We collected money and we took our per diem money and we bailed her out. I think we had to come up with a couple $1,000 to bail out her and the costumes so we
Wow.
could shoot. Yeah.
Well, this is wild.
So freaking awesome.
I feel like this is going to be another hour-long conversation of just some crazy stories going on here.
Well, if you want to do part 2, but we probably should fold it up pretty.
Well, Robert, yeah, I was thinking that, first of all, this was so great having you on and talking about your work. And I feel like this is not just a discussion about your filmmaking. This is a discussion about society making and what we need to do to make the world a better place. And for this hour, you made our world a better place. So thank you for being a part of it.
This was awesome, Robert. Seriously, really, really cool.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you guys, and I hope we can continue in some form or other. And best of luck to, your media here. I hope a lot of people see it.
Oh, they will. And they're all going to go out and watch and buy Shredder Orpheus and Devi Danger and go to your websites. The links are in the show notes for everything, guys.
Yep.
Robert, thank you so much. Looking forward to more down the road with you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All
Have a
right,
good
take
buddy.
care, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome, late night viewers. It's time for your favorite video narcotic. From the underworld entertainment capital, the Euthanasia Broadcast Network presents Praise the Ray.
Thank you for listening to Podcasting After Dark's exclusive interview series with Robert McGinley. And, as always, thank you for your support.